welcome back to my channel. Here with Matt today, and we're going to be talking about money today. This is a topic that a lot of you guys have requested. Start this off by saying I'm very sorry in advance for the lighting. The sun is going in and out of the clouds and we can't control it. Rowan's napping, so we got to film when we can film. So that's the deal. But yeah, I asked you guys your questions on Instagram. A lot of you guys had questions about how we budget, how we save to buy a house, how we save in general. So I'm gonna be going through some of those and just talking about our process and all that jazz. So we should probably start by talking about just like our general like financial, like how we deal with things. A lot of people wanted to know if we had one account or separate accounts. Yeah, we have all of our money together. We actually made our first joint bank account before we were even engaged to start saving for our wedding because we knew we were going to get engaged.
When you know, you know.
Yeah. So I don't know, that's the way my parents did it and it works well for us. We put all of our money into one place and there isn't like your money and my money and like give me half the rent or anything like that, which that probably works for some people, but it's just not it's not realistic for us. And I think that's because you have a more set income and my income fluctuates a lot because I'm a freelancer. So I don't know, it just makes sense to have everything all together.
It feels like it would be a hassle to like be transferring things back and forth all the time. Like the only thing we have separate is I think you have one credit card that's just you, right? Yeah. And then I have my Alaska one, which is just me. But those are the only accounts we have that are separate and like...
Yeah, we have joint checking, joint savings. We have at least one joint credit card. Just one?
That we don't use.
That we don't use. As far as credit cards go, I have 3 open accounts. I only use one of them. That's just, what do they call it? Like number of accounts open for credit. So I opened my first credit card when I was 18. Wish I had done it sooner because having a longer credit history obviously makes your score go up, but we both have great credit, so it's really not an issue.
Which is a made-up system that only people in America have.
So don't even get me started on the credit system, it's so dumb.
Yay, USA.
Trying to think, what else? Should I just go into questions?
I guess so, yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll think about things as we answer questions that we can say.
Y'all brought it with the questions. Somebody asked, what is your budgeting process, spreadsheet, envelopes, etc.? And somebody else asked, how far in advance do you plan for financially, the week, year, month? That's our budgeting spreadsheet wizard, so I'll let you take it away on how you do that process. He was an accounting major, so this is his domain.
So a lot of my main budgeting stuff, I took the Dave Ramsey financial planning course, and it sounds like the other person who asked that question did also, because they said envelopes. And that's one of the Dave Ramsey methods, is where like say you allocate $200 for groceries in a month, you take that out in cash and you put that in the envelope. And I used to do that, but I didn't like running back and forth to the bank. Part of the concept of that is that when you pay for something in cash, it activates the pain center of your brain. And so it makes you less likely to frivolously spend money or to spend money on things you don't like, because it trains that, you know, conditioning to like
I'm actually physically losing something.
Yeah.
But we've never done that.
But I've never done
that together.
Yeah, we haven't done that together. I tried it for a couple months. But the other aspect of that is it's called a $0 spreadsheet, where you take, and this is easier if you make a set amount of money. When you know how much money you're making every month, you plug it into a spreadsheet and you assign every dollar to a line item to go to a specific thing that you're spending on, whether it be rent or groceries or restaurants or a car payment or a loan payment, anything like that. And the point is to give every dollar a purpose, so you're not just having like, oh, I don't know where this $1,000 is going or whatever. You assign it, like if you're saving for something or if you're paying down extra debts, then you assign those dollars to that. And so say you have $50 of fun money every month. Well, once you've spent that fun money, then that's it, then you don't spend anymore, and you have to hold yourself to that discipline. And so I've been using that ever since I took the course, and like it's kind of become just a lifestyle thing now. You get used to just like not spending, especially when you have like a long-term goal. It really helps to have that as a line item, and just it helps you stay accountable to yourself to contribute to that goal.
Yeah, I think we originally like really stuck to our spreadsheet, but then once it became like second nature to us and we just kind of settled into it, we don't update the spreadsheet every month anymore like we used to. We did for a few years, But now we're just so settled into the routine of it that we stick to it without really looking at it. Not that I would recommend that. You should probably look at your budgeting spreadsheet, but it became, you know, such a habit for us. Oh, somebody asked about like percentages of kind of like where our money goes. So for us, I went and like did a rough calculation of it. We spend about 37% of our income on housing. So that includes our rent, our parking. The apartment collects money for sewer, trash, water. So that's 37%. That's definitely our biggest expense. Then we spend about 5% on utilities, internet, electric, phone, 5% on groceries, 3% on student loans. Matt has student loans. I don't. That's our only like debt that we have right now. 2.5% on gas, 2% for our iPhone payments, 2% on personal care, so haircuts, if I run out of eyeliner, stuff like that. 1% on subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, etc. 1% for restaurants, which at this point in time in 2021 is just drive-through.
It's been really easy not spending money at restaurants for the last 4 months.
It's definitely somewhere we've saved in our budget since all of this happened. 1% on household essentials like laundry detergent and all-purpose cleaning spray and toilet paper and all that kind of stuff. 1% for car insurance, 1% for pet supplies, and then 0.5% for spending money for each one of us for just like frivolous fun stuff. And then the rest of our money goes into savings, in theory. Obviously, we're not always perfect with the budget and unexpected circumstances come up. Definitely when we found out that I was pregnant and had to buy all this baby stuff, that put a dent in our savings goals. But yeah, that's kind of in general how it shakes out.
Ooh, do that one.
Which one?
Who's the saver spender?
I don't know. I don't know what you're gonna say.
Who's the saver spender?
I'm gonna say that we're both the saver.
I would say we're both saver and spender. We strike a really good balance. I have to bully you into spending money sometimes.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I need new underwear or I need new makeup or whatever, and I'm just like, so go buy it. And you're like, but money. I was like, but you need underwear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you coming to me every 3 days. Can we do more laundry?
I have really aggressive savings goals, and sometimes I can tend towards some unhealthy behaviors to try to get to those savings goals. Something I've definitely come a long way in the last few years. Somebody also asked like if we ever had money difficulties, and somebody also asked how to go from paycheck to savings. And definitely, when I was in college, I was working 3 jobs because I was paying for all my own living expenses. I did get a scholarship to college, so I didn't have tuition, which was a huge blessing. But even to just be able to pay like rent and bills and my car insurance and payments and everything, I was working 3 jobs, and I was spread so thin and was just like unhealthy in how obsessive I was over my budget. Like I literally had a big spreadsheet where I would plan out every single day like what I expected to come in and out, because I wanted to make sure that like nothing bounced or anything. I like wouldn't spend money on things for myself. That's actually something that somebody else asked about, like how to spend money on yourself without feeling guilty about it, which I should probably also talk about. This is kind of like my all my hang-ups with money, laying it all out there. So I was doing that, and I was like not even like paying for lunch while I was at work because I was just like so stressed out about it and like even thinking about it.
How much was lunch?
$2.88, and I didn't do it a lot of the time. Obviously not great. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. To get out of that place, I started by building an emergency fund, and I was working at a restaurant at the time, was like my primary job, and so I was lucky that I was able to just pick up a couple extra shifts and take the tips that I got from those extra shifts and put them away into an emergency fund. Biggest tip. Our emergency fund has been like, there have been times where like we've lost a job or had a huge unexpected expense, or you know, like had to go to the emergency room or something, and having that like in a savings account has bought us so much peace of mind. So if there's anything that you can think of to do to make a little extra pot of money on the side to put into savings, highly recommend. I know a lot of people go crazy with work as it is just to make ends meet, and that's super hard, and I've been there and I get it, but that I feel like really changed like everything for us having that. And then we started going after our debts. So yeah, both of our cars are paid off. Those were kind of the first things that we like went after. I paid my car off working my restaurant job. It was a very crappy car. You guys have probably seen it in the vlogs. I still have it, you know, crank windows and manual locks and everything. And I think having that car, like it runs fine. It gets me from point A to point B. And we try to focus on like living below our means like that sometimes, because if I were to go out and buy a new fancy car, like there goes our house savings, you know, or our ability to save for a house. So not having a car payment has been really good.
And I graduated with relatively low student debt. It was, I think I ended up taking out like $25,000 in loans.
Which is really low comparatively.
Yeah, I realized that a lot of people out there have $100,000 more than that in loans, which is, you know, just
broken system, man.
Terrible. And I think that with interest and stuff, it got up to like $28,000 or something by the time I graduated and got a steady job and started making payments on it. I paid off 3 of the loans. So, you know, some people will pay off like the highest interest ones first. I chose to pay off the lowest balance ones first. So I've paid off 3 of my 7 loans and have about 10 grand, I think just under 10 grand now on the remaining. So that'll be our first goal after we hopefully buy a house.
That's a whole other conversation.
To get that, just get completely debt free besides the house.
I think one thing that we've done that has helped with savings is when we pay something off. So for example, if we pay off a car, that car payment, like the money we would be paying for that, we will add into our savings. So we don't then go like, oh, we have an extra $300 to spend every month on restaurants and fun and stuff. Like we put that into our like savings line item. And the way we did the budget was savings does have its own line item, and we estimate what we're gonna be able to put in and we shoot for that number. And it's not exact because we kind of pay for all of the things we need to pay for first, and then whatever is left over we put into savings.
But it gets you into that mindset of having a goal of like,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, well, like this little stuffed animal is super cute at Target, but this is $20 more that I could put, you know, into savings or whatever. Or like for me, it's always like computer parts or games or something like that. And you know, not everyone has the means to go, just going back to the question, to go from living paycheck to paycheck to savings. You know, you trim what you can and it hurts.
Yeah, we definitely are not, you know, judging anybody else's financial situation, and I understand that, like, especially with like all the layoffs and stuff that are happening right now, like money's tight for a lot of people, and we are very, very fortunate in being able to climb out of that position and be in a place now where we're very comfortable. But I know that's not everybody's situation, so I would never want to offend, and please know, you know, our hearts with this are just to help, you know, if we can, and you guys wanted to know, so we're here to answer questions.
Going back to the paying off debts thing, another like Dave Ramsey, or this is just kind of a general technique of when you pay off a debt, you roll that debt's payment into your other debts. So like if you pay your car off and that was like $500 a month, and you have student loans that you're paying like $500 a month, take that $500 car payment, or even $400 of that car payment, you know, and roll it into your loan payments, and then maybe take that extra $100 and start putting it into savings, because then you get out of debt faster.
That's true.
So that's just another like trick, and you know, some people know it, some people don't maybe. But that's something I did with my loans. When I would pay off one loan, I would take the money that I was paying on that loan and I would put it towards the next one. It's just like, you know, next one up.
How did your budget change with a new baby? Just had a baby myself, and I'm genuinely curious. There are a lot of expenses when you have a baby, particularly if you live in the US and the healthcare system is great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were saying. Like, we had a savings account that we had just been filling up for a house down payment, and thankfully when Rowan came along, that was already there, and so it set us back a little bit on that house timing, but it was there. We were talking about the spreadsheet earlier. We have a line item for Rowan necessities, clothes or toys, or what's the other thing, like food stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, luckily, since I'm breastfeeding, we're not buying formula, which is a really significant cost, so that's been a nice savings for us to be able to do that. Another thing that we did was I did like obsessive research when I put together our baby registry of exactly what we were gonna need and like the quantities we were gonna need everything in. And we basically like sat down with our families and we're like, we are so appreciative of, you know, anything that you wanted to, you know, pass down to us or, you know, give as a gift to the baby. But here are some things that we actually need, and we'd love to get these before we get extra stuff like toys and clothes and things. And that I feel like took a lot of the sting out of preparing for a baby, because we got a lot of our stuff for him from my virtual baby shower. Our friends and family were so generous, and I'm so grateful. And then we just kind of filled in the gaps with a lot of like Facebook Marketplace. We got his crib for free on Facebook Marketplace. We got the rocking chair on Facebook Marketplace for super cheap. I did a lot of Poshmark and ThredUp for his clothing.
I was gonna say a lot of thrifting, a lot of used baby clothes that, you know, got worn by some cutie pie for 3 months, and then they got rid of them and now they're ours. And
buying used is a huge way that we save money. I think a lot of our stuff is thrifted or, like I said, Facebook Marketplace or similar.
Yeah, there's no shame in a good deal, you know?
No, it's awesome.
And some of the stuff we got, they had, you know, baby spit up stains and whatever. We threw it in the wash and still used it. Like, yeah, it's just gonna get spit up and pooped on more.
Right. Okay, these ones kind of go together. They're from two separate people. Saving for a home, general budgeting, how we did that. And somebody asked, how do you make realistic savings goals and save together for major goals? Major goals.
General savings. General savings and major goals at your service here. It's just, it all comes back to that discipline of saving and those line items of, like, even if you have to take 50 bucks a month out of your checking or your savings account so that you don't spend it, and you stuff it in your mattress. Or the envelope. Use the envelope method to save for like a big purchase.
Yeah. You have to want it more than you want all the little things that you would spend your money on. It only takes $27 a day in miscellaneous spending to waste $10,000 in a year. I read that the other day on Instagram. Isn't that nuts?
I'm like doing the math in my head, making sure that that's right.
Like, I want to move into a house and have a backyard for Rowan to run around in and have a garage for you to do projects in, more than I want that new shirt that I saw at Target or, you know, whatever home decor item I'm eyeing at the moment. Somebody asked, what are you doing to grow your money? I'll let Matt take it away, because this is his thing. I don't really do this.
If you have the opportunity to contribute to a 401k, do it. And especially if your company matches, put the max that you can put in to take full advantage of your company's max.
Free money.
So a lot of the companies that I've worked for will match like 100% of your contribution up to 2%, and then half a percentage after that. So I'm putting in 5% of my income to my 401k right now, and my company's matching 3% of that. So that they're giving me 3% additional of my paycheck into our 401k, which, you know, I'm not gonna touch for 40 more years probably. But if you can do that, I highly recommend it, because that will help you save and you don't have to do anything about it. You fill out a form once and then it's automatic savings for you. And like, sure, it'd be nice to have that extra money on the paycheck every month for other savings goals, but this is so long term, you know, that I want to be able to, and maybe I won't have to, but I want to be able to still provide for us, you know, with Social Security and stuff, even like we're retired. And
especially because I'm a freelancer, and retirement when you're a freelancer is an elusive concept and very difficult to plan for.
Yeah, because you're not.
I really should do a Roth IRA. I haven't yet. I really, really should.
I have a 401k with my company. I've hopped it around from company to company that I've worked on, and I'm always just like taking it and putting it back and taking it and putting it back. And I have that all in aggressive growth, you know, stocks and bonds, portfolios.
Because you can afford.
Yeah, you're young. So like when March of 2020 happened, I lost like 30% of my portfolio. And guess what? It's back now because the economy recovered.
Do you want to talk about the stock market a little bit?
Another way that I've used to grow money is that when I have the opportunity of like just a couple extra $100 or whatever, I will go and invest that in the stock market. You know, there's risk in the stock market. Obviously, there's some lower risk stuff. If you go into like bonds or ETFs, like that stuff tends to be a little bit less volatile. And ETFs, which is a fund that covers like multiple stocks, so it moves as the market goes as a whole, instead of like, if one stock goes down and 9 go up, then you're protected from that one going down. So that's a really layman's terms explanation of ETFs.
I didn't know that.
Don't at me. But it's just another way.
Yeah, it's a good idea to not invest money that you can't afford to lose.
Yes.
Because it is volatile. Like,
yes.
It's not a good idea to put money in the stock market thinking it's going to grow and you can pull it out next month and use it, you know, for something. But if you're willing to make the long-term investment and say, okay, well, I'm going to put $100 in now, and then in 5 years, maybe I'll have made some money on it. That's something you can do. We haven't played around with that a lot, just a little bit. But yeah, that's an option.
Megan tends to be a little risk averse with that.
Yeah, I don't like it. It scares me.
And back in March of 2020, I went to Megan, and this was, one thing I wanted to say was, discuss these things with your partner.
Yes.
Yes. So in March of 2020, I went to Megan and I said, hey, I see an opportunity in the market here. I would like to take this amount of money out of our savings account and grow it. And she said, okay. And she's like, I don't want to know if we lose money.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, don't tell me, la 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 la.
And so I took that money and played the stock market with it. The takeaway from that was, talk with your partner about it. And be honest and be open, because financial stress can destroy a relationship. So just be honest and be open and have those difficult conversations.
I think being so upfront and transparent with each other about money from the very beginning, like I said, we had a savings account together before we even got engaged. Like, we had a really strong foundation and we knew we had very similar money mindsets. It wasn't like one person, like somebody asked spender versus saver. It wasn't like one person liked to save every penny and the other person would spend, you know, all of the extra income that they had every single month. Like, we were very much on the same page, which was good, and it's a good strength for us. Somebody asked, would love to hear about proving income and getting loans while independently contracted.
Okay. We know a lot about that, don't we?
We know a lot about that. So basically in the US, if you're trying to get a home loan, but you're self-employed, you have to provide them with a bunch of documentation, the most important of which is the last 2 years of your tax return. And what they do is they average the two numbers of your tax returns. And I do believe you have to show income growth as well. So the second year has to be higher than the first year by a certain percentage. And they average those two to figure out how much they can loan you. So when we were trying to buy a house, basically I started my business in fall of 2018. So I technically had 2 years of business history because I had my 2018 tax return and my 2019 tax return. But because I only had 1 quarter's worth of income on my 2018, when you averaged it, you were averaging 1 whole year and then 1 quarter as if it were a year. So it just tanked my income. So that's actually like more in depth why we decided to wait on buying a house, because now I have my 2019 and my 2020, and that is a much better picture of what I actually make. I believe you also have to provide profit and loss statements and like all kinds of explanations in your business bank accounts and all of that. So it's definitely a lot of hoops to jump through. I think that's been our biggest hurdle with buying a house, is like trying to figure out how to do it when I'm self-employed. Sorry about that. Okay, a couple more questions. How you decided how much you needed to save to feel comfortable buying a home. We are taking advantage of our bank's first-time home buyer program, which allows you to put down up to 5% on a home. So our savings goal was to save 5% for the loan amount that we wanted, basically. We wanted to save up a 5% down payment.
So there's 2 factors in deciding how much house we can afford, and it's one of the factors is our income and the bank literally telling us what we can afford. But then there was also a degree of how much we're comfortable spending every month on housing. So mortgage, property taxes, home insurance. When you only put 5% down, you have to pay private mortgage insurance, which is literally insurance in case you default on your loan, and the bank makes you pay that.
Yeah, that's for a loan. If you put down less than 20%, you have to pay that.
And so we calculated that, and you know, then reverse engineered. So this is how much, this is the max we want to spend per month. So what does that look like in like price of a home or whatever? So,
and you also have to figure like when you buy a home, you don't just have the down payment, you also have, in some cases, origination fees, which is basically like the fees that the bank takes to like create and process the loan and everything. I don't know exactly.
Stupid.
Oh, I thought you were correcting my explanation. I could be wrong.
Just SMH, man.
But our bank doesn't do that because it's a credit union, so thank you for that. And then there are things like, what other closing costs are really expensive. That's the thing you have to plan for. Reserves. So in some cases you have to have 2 months of your mortgage payment in savings after paying all your down payment and stuff and closing on your loan. So there's a lot of factors to think about.
Ridiculous. You
have to have a decent little buffer. And we live in like one of the most expensive areas too. Like it is impossible to buy a house where we live. The market moves so fast and everything is so expensive and it's so competitive that it's like we're gonna have to move like way in the suburbs to be able to afford anything. But you know, it is what it is. Oh, somebody asked about our bank's first-time homebuyer program, or like if we were taking advantage of one. Our bank has an awesome first-time homebuyer program. They put down 2% up to a maximum of like $6,500 for you. And you only have to come up with 1 to 3%. And obviously, if you're not doing first-time homebuyer, you usually will have to come up with like 10% or 20%. So having that lower threshold has really helped us. There's no origination fees. You are able to put down a lower percentage. We saved up 5% just in case, just to be safe, because like I said, there's a lot of other fees. And there's also a part of it where you get a rebate of 20% of the buyer's agent commission if you use a real estate agent that's connected to your bank. So we really like our bank. They are very nice in terms of home buying stuff. Somebody asked, how do you spend money on yourself without the guilt? I think when we first started saving for a house, I cut all fun spending completely and was kind of miserable. And I struggle with delaying gratification so much that I miss the moment I'm in because I'm so focused on a future goal. Hashtag Enneagram 3 things. But I had to loosen the belt a little bit because I was just like not enjoying my life. And for me, the whole point of savings is to improve, you know, the quality of your life, because you have security, you don't have to be so anxious about things, you can save towards a big goal like a house. But if that is creating a ton of anxiety and guilt and shame for you in the moment while you're saving, then it's like, what's the point? I mean, I'm not saying that I'm now going out and buying, you know, a $500 purse or whatever. Like, I'm still using my car with my little crank windows. My point is that if once a month you want to buy a $10 candle from Target, like,
budget that.
Yeah, budget
Put it in the spreadsheet.
Yeah, have your little spreadsheet pocket of savings, and then don't feel guilty for spending it because you know that you can afford to spend. Like I said, 0.5% of our income is like what we budget to spend on ourselves every month. And I know that that 0.5% is fine, and I'm still gonna hit my savings goals without it. And so I can breathe a little bit easier when I do treat myself a little bit.
It's a balance. It's a constant assessment of where you are and where your goals are.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's about being motivated for, you know, whatever your goal is, being motivated to reach that goal, but not getting tunnel vision about it. Like seeing the greater picture, making sure that you have your ducks in a row, you have, you know, your numbers, your spreadsheet, your envelopes, whatever it is, having a process, and then willfully deciding when you want to stray a little bit from that instead of feeling like it's accidental and all of a sudden your spending has gotten out of control. It's like controlled, like deviance from the plan if you want to, just a little bit.
It's a judgment call, and don't beat yourself up. You're just like, oh, I didn't, like I tried to save $100 this month and I only saved 75. Like, what's even the point? You know, just get back on the horse next month and
you still save $75.
Still saved money, yeah. It adds up. It really does.
Yeah. So yeah. That was a lot. I feel like how long did we just talk for?
At least a half an hour.
Half an hour?
Almost 45 minutes.
This is gonna be a long video. I hope that was helpful to you guys in some way. We don't have it all figured out, but we are a lot closer to our goals now than we were, and I think we've come up with some good, you know, processes for that. Let me know what other topics you want us to talk about. Just me or as a couple or whatever. We're pretty much an open book. So
obviously we talk way too much and we have a lot to say about things. So.
Yeah.
As soon as we don't go anywhere, we don't barely see anyone anymore, so you guys are the only people we talk to.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We love you a lot. Hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.